Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of YOMO. You guys know this is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we're on another book, a new book, and Reflection 284, and something about Theodore Roosevelt. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It was really an interesting book, honestly. It's called The River of Doubt, Theodore Roosevelt's Darkest Journey by the author Candice Millard. This book's about, I had no idea. And I don't know about you, but do you know anything about Theodore Roosevelt?
The
Teddy
president?
Roosevelt? Yeah.
I just know that he's an avid adventurer, avid hunter, and he likes to be in the wild. So that's all I know
Yeah,
about him.
he did. He did like that. Did you learn that on the night at the museum?
Yes.
Yeah. when by
You
Robin
got me.
Williams.
You
Yeah.
got me.
That's funny. That's about all I knew about Teddy Roosevelt myself before, this book. But obviously he was one of our presidents, right? And yes, he was very rugged outdoorsman, all that good stuff. That's the vibe that we've always gotten. But this book is actually about after he lost his reelection attempt in 1912. He'd always wanted to be like an explorer, right? That was like his thing. He always wanted to be like an explorer his whole life. And after he lost his reelection bid, he was like kind of humiliated a little bit, and he didn't know what to do, and he went back home, and he's like a restless dude. He always was like, wanting to go do something else and try something else, like he said, be outdoorsman-ish, whatever. He got this opportunity to go down this Amazon River tribute that no one had ever been down before. He was going down this Amazon River tribute that people had been down before, but when he got there, the expedition guide was like, hey, there's this other tribute that no one's ever successfully mapped. Theodore Roosevelt, being who he was like, yeah, let's do that. So he went down this tribute. It's actually named after him now. I think it's called the Roosevelt River or something like that in the Amazon River Basin. It's a tribute of the Amazon River. They loaded up a bunch of provisions. They had no idea where they were going, what they were going to be encountering. It was like literally the River of Doubt. This is the story of the journey of that expedition. It almost killed him. He almost died. Multiple people did pass away, I think, if I remember right. I think a few people did pass away, and it was just filled with a whole lot of turmoil and strife and uncertainty. He almost died. And actually, I think some of the collateral damage from what happened to him, I can't remember exactly what happened to him. I think he got some really bad infection or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened. Some collateral damage of that, ultimately like hampered him for the rest of his life, honestly. So, and this is when he was like later on in his life. Anyway, so it was an interesting book. You actually kind of felt like you were really there with him, like with the whole entire journey. He took his son Kermit with him as well. And it was a big deal. It was a cool book. It was interesting to learn about, and interesting to learn about this guy's life. So the reflection title for this one is called The Strenuous Life. Theodore Roosevelt or what I found really interesting, I didn't know nothing about his life, like I said beforehand. What I found personally really interesting as the author was giving the kind of
Biography
about this whole journey. They went through all the different people that were on the journey, basically, and all their lives and how they got to where they got to and how they were associated with Teddy Roosevelt or the expedition. The one theme that I kept hearing over and over again from the author, intentionally or unintentionally, there's a lot of deep love and admiration for Teddy Roosevelt. Anybody that he came across in his life, if they spent any amount of time with him, they understood who he was and what he was all about when they met him, right? And that was adamant from across the board with everybody. I mean, the author said some negative things about almost everybody on the expedition, but she never said anything negative about Teddy Roosevelt. He was just revered. Everybody they came across when they were in his presence, whether they liked his lifestyle or not, he just had that kind of presence that sucks you in because of the way that he lived his life. He had a philosophy that he called the strenuous life that he developed as a sickly child. He was really sick when he grew up, and out of that childhood, he forged like this pain that he was under his entire childhood of being like this sickly, weak kid. He battled and found resolve, and he said, you know what, I'm going to fight every single tooth and nail for the rest of my life and try to endure as much as I possibly can. And he's like, I don't care what limitations are on me. I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to try to fight and seek out discomfort and seek out ways to trust myself, because I feel like that's the way that I will rebalance my body. So he called this philosophy the strenuous life. This is his philosophy. This is how he raised his kids. Sometimes it was kind of fucked up, honestly, how he forced his kids to do some pretty weird shit, but it really stressed them and pushed them as children, because this is what he did, right? Long story short, the reason why he was so revered was because this wasn't just a philosophy. This was the way that he lived his life. We talk about this all the time. It's one thing to have values and a vision or a purpose. It's quite another thing to actually do it every single day, everybody you encounter and every single moment and every action of your life. He embodied this strenuous life values. He brought it to life. He did it every single day, every single thing that he did. I think that was why he was so endearing to other people that came across his path because they knew what they were going to get out of the guy. Like the strenuous life isn't for everybody. I mean, it's definitely not what I want to do. I mean, that is not like, that is not balanced, and that is not what I'm trying to do. But some of the shit that he did of like, just, the river of doubt, like, yeah, hey, let's just go down an uncharted river that no one's ever been down, and see if we survive. Like, that'd be fun. Like, we'll learn something, right? Like, I mean, you're not gonna find me doing that. I don't think I'd find you doing that either. Am I wrong? Okay, all right. So, but I think my general, like, I guess, reflection that came from this is like, I want to be like that. I think this life will be a great life if I can look back and the people around you can say, Chris lived for two and all that he did. Like, Chris had a philosophy on life, and he brought it to life every single day. And I saw it. I witnessed it. I was around it. I may not have jived with everything that I wanted him to do. It may not be for me either, but I respected that because he did his best to honor his promise he made to his daughter for his entire life. And that just, I think, makes a difference along the way. I think if I can look back at my own funeral and have people there that said, yeah, this is what Chris said he was going to do, and this is what he did, I loved him for it. Like, that's kind of like my dream. If there's one thing I could do to honor my daughter, it would be that. I don't know. Teddy Roosevelt just reminded me of that, of like the power that can come from, like Nelson Mandela is another example of that. A lot of people we've talked about on this journey are people that understood who they wanted to be and did it. And that's powerful. It's rare in this world. I don't know why it's so rare, but it is rare. So anyway, that's my reflection from this one. It's the question is, think about someone you admire most and what can you learn from how they lived their lives. I'd love to get your thoughts.
So if I tell you, on your tombstone, I would say, here lies the most amazing accountant in the world on your tombstone, how would you feel?
Disgusted.
Exactly. So for me, what Teddy does isn't all that impressive.
Yeah.
It isn't. Because the thing is, and the reason for that is because that's who he is. He's doing what he loves. Even though it seems hard to you, even though it seems hard to him, he yearns for it.
Yep.
Because when you say, well, let's say I'm a runner, to a lot of people, running is fucking difficult.
Yeah.
But somebody loves it. Think about that. Don't get me wrong. You want to, you want to reflect on the question a little bit. To think about someone you admire most and learn from how they live their lives, right? But you have to look at it from their perspective. Don't look at their life from your perspective. Because when you look at their life from their perspective, they're doing things that makes them fulfilled because that's who they are. They have that calling. If you don't have that calling, it's gonna be strenuous. To him, I don't think it's strenuous. It may seem strenuous, but it isn't. Because for you, you go out there and you're huffing and puffing and you hitting the ball back and forth, running, across the court, right? Most people gonna find that strenuous. Right. If you say, hey, True, hey, I want to be like True. I want to live like True. I want to sit in the fucking chair for like 12 to 16 hours a day and just write.
I can't do that.
That's strenuous.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's strenuous?
Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Like,
you don't want to. Or like I say, be an accountant, the most amazing accountant in the world. That's the thing is, to the people who has the talent and the tool, that's eating cake. It doesn't matter how you perceive them. You're looking at Alex Connell, right? He loves to do the
climb rocks,
right? That makes him alive.
Right.
Yet, could it kill him? And would it almost kill him? Yeah, multiple times. But he can't give it up because that's who he is. So to me, when you say, look at the people you admire and learn from how they live, you need to look from their goggles, from their spectacles, because you have to understand the perspective they're looking at. Because if you're looking from your perspective, it's like, for example, you say, hey, he made his kid do things like him, right? So I think he means well, but it doesn't behoove the kid because the kid may not have his characteristic and personality. So basically, he is forcing his kid to do something that is against their nature. So that's what I'm saying is, like I say, he means well, but because of the caveat that, hey, Teddy is a huge guy, okay?
Mhm.
He's not small. Even
Right.
though he said he's sickly, but he's a huge guy.
He wasn't like sick. He was very small and sickly when he was a kid. Like he got big because he pushed himself so hard. He would lift all the time, and he
Right, but
would
the
push
thing
his
is,
body
not
really, really hard.
nevertheless, that's in his gene to
Right.
do that because,
Yeah.
like you, right? You run every day. For people to run like once a month, they can't even do it. For people
Yeah.
to read a book like once a month, they can't do it.
Right.
They can't even read a book once in 10 years. They still can't really do it.
Yeah, no,
Because
it's
I know I've done it because, like I told you, up until recently, I don't read any books. I told you there's only one book I read covered from cover to cover. That's the Grapes of Wrath by
right.
John Steinbeck, right? That's the only book because it appeals to me it aligns with my core values for whatever reason. I read it.
The Grapes of Wrath.
The Grapes of Wrath.
I can't remember if I read that back in school. I don't remember. What is that about? Is that the one that's got the
It's about the
Lenny? Is that the one about Lenny? And
no, that's
my.
then. The Grapes of Wrath is about the depression kind of deal.
I hate fiction books. I don't even want to talk about it, honestly. I never enjoyed it. Like, I mean, I'm sure I would read this and I would go, I don't get it. Like, I don't know why. I just don't like fiction books. Like,
Yeah, that's the book I have to read for junior high. For like
junior in high school.
Yeah, junior in high school. I have to read it. It appeals to me because I can relate to it because when I came to the United States, when I was like 10 years old, I don't know any word of English, I have no country and this new country isn't really mine. So I don't belong. It's a national crisis where, people, crops don't, drought and all that, crops don't grow, farmers losing, the banks is, away all the lands and they have to kind of become a nomad and move from camp to camp, trying to get work anywhere they can. Basically, they're displaced from the home. And that appeals to me because I was in the same situation because I was displaced from my home because, my country doesn't want me. They want to put my dad into a concentration camp. He has to always trying to figure out how to elude the government after so many years after the war. And for me, it's like I don't belong there, and people, they don't accept me as a citizen because and then when I come here, well, the thing is I don't belong here. I'm still born, and so that book appeals to me. That's why I read it. But nonetheless, it's like there's certain things that we are not we're not created for. When we are not created for that certain things or tasks that we do, it isn't going to align, and it doesn't matter how much you do. You will never ever go and get it to make you feel like, hey, I have adapted to it. You adapted to it by becoming less affected, but you still always affected. It doesn't mean like, hey, I learned to love it. If you said you learned to love it, you're lying to yourself. You just lying to yourself. It's either you have the ability already and it was innate, and then it was just delayed in terms of whatever you can and cannot do, but it's not aligning with you. I don't think anyone can learn to love it because you're just, lying to yourself in terms of, hey, trying to trick or do this hack or whatever, trying to figure out how to trick your brain into liking, the frogs. I mean, regardless how many frogs you eat, I mean, I think it doesn't get any better.
No,
right?
They're all gross and nasty. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
It's,
so I just
unless eating the frog is like eating the cake for you, like could be like that, It's
right. But then, like I said,
but then it's eating the cake. It's not eating the frog. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is. So a lot of times it is so easily and mistakenly be misled by something that you look on the surface and think, hey, I should be like Theodore Roosevelt and then strive for the strenuous life, or I want to go uphill, or I want to eat the frogs first, or do the hardest thing first, or whatever. All these people are saying similar thing, but there is some caveat behind it that we don't understand. Sometimes the author don't understand what they say either, right? Because and like that's why I said is I never would ever go to you and say, hey Chris, this is what I do, and you should do this, do that. I say, well, I don't know, Chris, because you're different from me. This is what I did. It works for me. I can't ask you to do it. I can say, okay, I'm inviting you to see if you can explore and consider it, but I cannot ask you and tell you to do it because, like I said, if it works for me, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. The only thing I can say is, I give you a recount of what happens to me, and you can use us as an inspiration to make that your own, tweak it and modify it to adapt for your own particular situation. And so I think, to me, that's an important lesson we need to always keep in mind is everything you read, you
Yeah.
make sure you understand really from the depth of the perspective of the person versus just, hey, I want to rise, grind, and repeat. I want to have, grit, right? Well, grit means many things to different people. And
Yep.
to people who say, hey, grit means I need to hustle and bustle and I need to make whatever. I need to sacrifice. I need to miss my kid's birthday, miss my kid's baseball games. So you say, hey, I'm doing for the kids. But the kids say, hey, Dad, I don't need that. I don't need that. Right? And so the thing is, when you say, hey, I'm trying to do you a favor, I'm trying to do things for your benefit. But that's from your perspective, not from their perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't need that.
Yeah, well, they're their own people for sure. I mean, like it's
Right.
like I don't. I mean, I agree with your point big time. I think everybody should have a philosophy on life that aligns to their purpose and their North Star. But like, it's their philosophy. I mean, you can't go, well, Teddy Roosevelt was Teddy Roosevelt, and he lived the strenuous life, so I'm going to adapt the strenuous life. That's not how that worked. The strenuous life came out of him living his life, and then he said, "Oh, this is what I like. I'm going to call it the strenuous life." You know, it wasn't like he said, "Go, I'm going to live the strenuous life,"
But
and then go do.
but when somebody pick up a book, they're gonna be misled and say,
Oh yeah,
our president is living his life. He overcome his adversity. He become, stronger than he was when he was younger.
I'll
And
do that. Right.
well, you don't have his gene.
Right. I've been reading a lot of biographies lately. Like I'm doing Roger Federer right now. I just did Steve Jobs. I mean, I could go back and look at my library, but I feel like I've read like 5 biographies recently, and it's all just kind of stacking up now. These famous people's lives in general. Oh, John Rockefeller is another one I just recently did.
You finished John Rockefeller?
Yeah, I think that was like a 35-hour audiobook or something like
Really?
that. I can't even remember. It was fucking long.
Yeah, biographies are usually long.
Yeah, and they're usually good because you're just really learning about somebody's life. The reason why I'm bringing this up is like, to your point, each one of these people have their own little unique, subtle nuances, along the way that slowly over a lifetime molded them into who they became. And to be fair, a lot of it came from pain, honestly. Like Steve Jobs was an adopted kid who was abandoned by his birth parents, really. And, I think he kind of carried that through most of his life in some way, shape, or form.
What I'm saying is who you are, and
Right.
you are. It is a collection of your experience, and that includes
Right.
pain. So when you pen your life, I say biography or an autobiography, it is gonna include that. That's part of who you are. You can't just take what, you just can't say, okay, I'm going to tell only the good and leave out the bad, because you do that, you are doing the same thing we talk about in terms of what we talked yesterday about Seth Rogen. He said, "Hi, this is who I am. I'm not skipping any details. Just corny jokes and doesn't work because it's not who I am. Then that's my failure. That's my pain. That's my anguish. And then I switch, and then it becomes this because it's totally part of who you are. You can't just remove something.
Right.
And so in life, it's not about it's not about avoiding pain. It's about you have pain and how can you deal with it. Life is pain. Life is painful. I mean, to put it simply, life is painful by de facto. It's painful because things is going to push against you. So the point for you is, do you have the ability, the talent, the gene, the skills to adapt and align with the things that pushes you? Because you talk about, like, let's say we have gravity, right? There's gravity, but that's just forces of nature. There's rain, there's heat, there's the sun, there's cycles of the moon, and all these things. This is just forces of nature. The river. I mean, I can say, well, the river. If I go to the river, I will get knocked on my feet, and I will get flung down the river, and I can try to paddle my boat up the river. But that's what I'm saying is that's part of human nature. It's part of human nature. You can't just say, well, everything has to. But the point I'm saying is you can use your ability to orient yourself so that you're going down the river, the other run downhill, the one for trains, people must stand, all these things, right? That's what we're saying. It's not about, hey, there's no pain. Because the pain that I deal with, for example, I do coding, right? There's there's some issues and bugs. It's just it has no solutions to, and it's a temporary setback. But that setback allows me to overcome. But because what's over on the other side is more valuable than my struggle with this temporary setback. It is worth it, and that's what makes us human, because we are yearning for that additional push. Because you think about, if I ask you, hey Chris, you're a very, very good tennis player, go and play with a 5-year-old and just beat the shit out of him every single time. Would that be fun for you? It doesn't.
No,
You're
in
looking
5
for
minutes.
some kind of a struggle, right?
Yeah.
And you can call it pain if you want, but because that's how we're built, we want to have a guy that is like, we can beat, or maybe a little bit above us, and
Right.
trying to get us better. Because that is also part of us as a gene. Because you don't want to play with somebody you can beat.
My
You
mind,
can
my
wipe the
mind,
floor with that.
my mind drifts, even when the competition's like just a level below me. Like my mind just fucking drifts, you know. Like I was playing pickleball tonight, and since I've started to kind of like play regularly again the past couple of weeks, because Dustin has asked me to play in that, you know, that tournament with him and coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm trying to like prepare myself and get better. I'm trying to go play matches as much as I can and get my practice in that way. And that's kind of the fun thing about pickleball, is you can play so much and almost simultaneously practice, because you're playing so much and so fast. Mm-hmm. The amount of matches that I've played against different people, with different people, and different scenarios have been played in the past 3 weeks of doing this stuff is like, it would take me 2 years to play that many people in tennis, you know, like it's not, you just can't go as rapid fire like, you know, like you can in pickleball. Anyway, so I say this to say, like, I'm building my match play muscle, and I'm practicing different shots while I'm playing match plays, because it doesn't really matter given context. In the past 4 times I've played pickleball for a couple hours down at different courts around the city, I think I've gone 30-2.
You lose interest.
It's not that I lose interest because I'm learning. My interest right now is on learning. So I'm not losing interest because I'm trying myself to try different things. I'll press harder when I want to, if I feel like maybe somebody's coming back. But there's been very few games where I've been all in, full focus the whole entire time, start to finish. So what ends up happening is I just drift. My brain just totally drifts, and I'm focusing on shots.
Pickleball is still new to you. That's why you can keep, you know, you can actually go through the whole game, but
right.
Eventually you learn all the skills you need in pickleball. You can lose interest like right away, versus like, hey, without drifting like once in a while, it's, you still have something that is new to you. And that's the way your brain works, right? Because your brain shuts down when it has nothing to increase.
To engage it, yeah. I mean,
so it's a potential of change, right? It's a delta. So our brain works in delta. Without the deltas, it just shuts down if you don't have no deltas, right? So it feeds on delta. Delta is just like our eyes, right? If your eyes stay still and doesn't move, it turns dark. You can't see. Your eyes always have this micro movement for you to triangulate the image, and that image keeps your vision from being blacked out. So your brain works the same way. Because if the image from your eyes is the same, exactly the same to the brain takes it in and doesn't see it anymore, changes, it's just stop. It's, hey, you know, I'm not going to process it because it doesn't change.
Right.
I don't process it when they say slight change. That's why your eyes is designed to twitch.
I agree.
And so it does the same thing with how you improve as a person, because without a delta, right, you don't continue to improve. That's why when you see somebody say, well, every single story, every single biography you read, every single autobiography you read, there's some sort of pain.
Yeah.
That's part of life, right? But the pain that you endure is a pain that's worthwhile, versus the pain of misery of, hey, this has nothing at the end of the tunnel. It has nothing at the end of the rainbow. There's no goal at the end of the rainbow.
But you know what else you always find in these autobiographies is a jazzy Jeff, like somebody that can be your equivalent.
This is what we keep saying all the time: meaningful work, meaningful relationship. Without meaningful relationship, there isn't any.
You can't push yourself. Like, if I actually want to get good at playing pickleball, I have to go get my ass kicked by people that are way better than me. And this is the shit that happens. You hear like Roger Federer or Novak Djokovic. I'm reading Roger Federer's autobiography right now, and like, he happened to be in the right places at the right time, in the right areas where the level of competition were the right people that could help push him to get better. Same thing with Rafa, same thing with Novak, same thing with all these people, right? They had chance happenings where they got put in situations where they were around people that could help them, to push them to be way better than what they are. Because like right now, like what's happening to me when I'm playing pickleball against these people and I never lose is like, I'm not saying I'm developing bad habits, but like the stuff that I'm getting away with in matches, like I wouldn't get away with if I know for a fact like that some of the shit that I'm doing it just for fuck around, honestly. I'm doing it because I'm that much better than these people, and I'm like, well, I'll just lob it over your head. Like, and you never should hit a lob in pickleball. It's stupid. Anybody that has any level of talent that's anything good at pickleball, like, you can't do that. But when you're playing somebody that's like not that athletic, not very quick hands, can't recover fast, I can get away with doing a quick little flip, topspin lob over their head in this tiny little short court. And they're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And I'm like, that's something I've done a million times my whole life, but you shouldn't do it. I know you shouldn't do it in pickleball. And I know there's a lot of things I know you shouldn't do, but here's what happens when you don't get pressed by somebody else. You develop bad habits and you don't develop at all. You said, well, you have all the skills you want to have. Right now, I have enough skills to beat these people, but I don't have enough skills to beat pro level pickleball players. And I don't even know what those skills are that I need. I won't know that until I get my ass kicked by them. And I'm like, oh, I need this shot. And then I can go work on it, right? And I get my ass kicked and I go work on it. I get my ass kicked.
But my question then is, why? I mean, why do you want to improve?
Because I want to improve. Because I want to evolve. I want to get better.
Exactly.
My mind's engaged. I'm like, how do I do that?
My point in that you are driven because there is something that aligns with you. That's why I asked you in the beginning, if your tombstone say, hey, here lies the most amazing accountant in the world. It's like, shit, I don't want that. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't align. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But when it's something that aligns with you, you willingly put yourself in these stressful situation. That's why I say, well,
I want to be stressed.
You want to get to that level where you stress out a little bit,
right?
So that you can get better at the most optimal rate that you can, because that's important to you. Because however you're born with a certain given set of genes and patterns of DNA, it compels you to want to achieve that. There are some people who are compelled to be an explorer, just like Theodore Roosevelt. There are some people who are compelled to be like, astronaut. I don't want to be a fucking astronaut. It's if to think about it. Like, I guarantee you, you would not make a good astronaut. It's not because you don't have the ability. But there's only like 5 people here.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's like, what am I going to say?
I'll be bored.
And especially your team, your astronaut mates, they have completely opposite characteristic that you do, because they don't bring in like, hey, too talkative person. They say, well, you're an engineer, you're this, management,
we're a cross-functional team.
So it's not about your ability to be an astronaut or not. It's about whether or not you're gonna blow your fucking brains out.
That's a really good point. I mean, I'll give you an example.
I don't want to be an astronaut.
I agree with you, actually. I think that's a good assessment of me. You just made me think about when my wife loves museums and stuff like that, and I hate museums. I don't hate them because I don't like art and I don't like, whatever. I like to see stuff, but I'm like, okay, saw it, move. I don't want to sit around and linger and go, oh, what does that mean? When looking at David, I'm not thinking about Michelangelo, like why he hit this little chip or something like that, or like, how it compares to Botticelli, or I'm just like, oh, that's cool. All right, seen it. Let's go. So that's kind of how my brain works.
Well, you just don't have an art appreciation gene.
I appreciate it, but I just don't.
You don't have that gene. You don't have a coding gene. I don't have a talking gene, right? And what I'm saying is everything that you do, everything that compels you to make certain actions, it comes from the very gene that you inherit. That's the reason for your existence.
I gotta move, man. That's
if you don't adhere to the needs and wants of your genes, it becomes a miserable life. To me, that's probably what I'm trying to say in terms of mostly reflected in the recent past, that everything boils down to be yourself and figure out what your genes want. Right? And be that regardless of what people say. Because people say, well, I don't like to code because that's such boring. Well, astronaut, I don't want to be an astronaut because that's boring to me. Or for me to go at meetings all day long, that's exhausting to me. I can't do that. I can't even survive half of your day.
That's not true, because I don't think of my day as meetings most of the time when I'm doing my one-on-ones and stuff like that. They're fun for me. Now, I wouldn't be able to survive my own day if it was like just straight up different, department meeting after department meeting after department meeting.
Okay, let me put it this way then. I wouldn't survive half of your KBR meeting.
Like 8 hours straight on a Zoom call.
I
where,
can't.
like,
I can't do that. Like I told you, I can't even drive more than 45 minutes without start yawning. I mean, my max is probably 45 minutes. After that, I have to use willpower to keep myself from my brain from shutting down. There are a lot of truck drivers that can be on a road for 16 hours and they do that day in, day out. I
No
can't
way.
do that. To
No.
me, I would blow my brains out. My brain will actually shuts down.
I hate driving.
I can probably, like, if you make me drive after I wake up, if I can go sleep again.
Driving makes me want to
Right.
like, I mean, I have to like chug Red Bull, like, you know,
So it
eat
is
sunflower
because I
seeds,
need
like,
to
you know.
sleep shutting down.
I fucking hate driving long. I agree with you. Like, I mean, I'm not like, I think you're spot on. I think the more and more that this journey keeps going on and on, this is one of the reasons why I love this whole entire thing that we've been doing is like today I was having a conversation in one of my one-on-ones with, you know, my team, and we were, you know, like a lot of the stuff that we talk about, it's so easy for me to ask questions for them to, you know, to them and get them and to lead them to a lot of these things that you and I have been discovering on our own about, you know, like the difference between setting goals and the right goal, right? The right goal is be yourself and trust yourself and do that every single day.
Right.
And
To
then
me,
other stuff will happen.
it's
right?
kind of
You know?
like misconstrue over time, because, you know, there's certain things that it was meant originally to be something like more, you know, aligned, and then certainly people take it without understanding the whole. Like I keep saying, hey, don't run for trains, right? And I keep saying don't run for trains, and you say, hey, don't run for trains. We keep saying how people must damn.
Right.
Without the backstory, if you take just that, I guarantee you're gonna misunderstand what we mean.
Oh, for sure.
The original meaning is nowhere near what you thought it was.
No, not at all. Actually, like I think that's the point of all this stuff is right. Like we've gone through now 284 of these. I've written 360. Well, I've written
380 something.
380. 389. So I'm still doing it. I'm still having fun. It's almost like I was thinking about this the other day. It's like I finished the marathon and I was like, well, I like running.
So you
Let's keep
continue.
running. Like, can I go run tomorrow? And people are going to be like, you just finished a marathon. You shouldn't go run tomorrow. I like running. You know, I didn't run a marathon because I was trying to just finish a marathon. I was running a marathon
Because I like to run. I want to be a marathon.
I just happened to complete a marathon. Yeah. So it's honestly, the more that I keep going through this, the more I'm like, I don't know that I'll ever stop doing this, to be honest with you. I mean, as long as the books I'm reading, it gets my brain thinking about stuff, which I know they will.
I mean, that's
Right.
that's the thing is, you know, life is in a transition. So there's always new things for us to discover. And that's
Right.
what our brains, it feeds, that fuels our brains, right? It's the newness. It's a newness of things, right?
Right.
And that's
Novelty.
what
Yeah.
novelty. Yeah. Novelty is what keeps our brains engaged. That's why
Yes.
when we go and drive in, especially when you drive along a highway that the scenery doesn't change, like you're talking about like having like brown grass all the way for miles on end, like you're driving from, I guess, from San Antonio to El Paso.
Right.
Like, there's nothing to look at.
Every once in a while, there's some cows, or you know,
and not even, and especially when it's dark, you can't see shit. And so, like I told you, my brains were actually literally shuts down because there's nothing new for me to look at, right?
Yeah.
And I can't. I mean, I would slap myself, but I still can't keep myself awake. Right? It's not like I'm sleepy. I'm not sleepy. It's just my brain
just bored.
wants to shut down.
Yeah, you're just bored. Like when you're bored, your brain wants to shut down. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, but I guess what I was getting at where we're at right now, one of the reasons why I just love this whole thing is it's just like a tiny step, like a tiny little step. We've been doing this now for almost 2 fucking years. What wasn't that had to have been like November or December of like 2021, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I mean, we're almost 2 years into this of like 2 years of talking about, you know, similar topics, but it's like not just, we didn't just do it, one of us, like we're doing this together, right? You know, so it's like every single day this is like building on top of everything. Like this reflection is not, you know, anything out of the ordinary of what we've talked about. It's just another little building block on, like, you know, another data point of when we talk in the future about, you know, you remember Teddy Roosevelt and the Strenuous life, you know, that's a great philosophy and he stuck to it. Like we should stick to our philosophy and people will agree to that. As long as the philosophy is based in something that matters to you, it'll show to other people. It's not that complicated, but it's becoming a very simple conversation and simple messages and simple understanding of these things. There was nothing simple about getting to this point in time, but now it's becoming very simple. Like the more that we talk, the more simple it becomes, the more repetitive a lot of these reflections become. And they're all a little bit different, certainly, right? Like the river of doubt, whatever, but they all kind of, slowly take this big chunk of shit and make it super simple.
Right, because the thing is, all of these things we get at these study points, and we basically trace it back to the source, the origin of it. And to me, like you say, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The more we go through this, the answer becomes simpler. Everything boils down to the same thing that we keep saying over and over again. It's like you have a certain characteristic and traits that drives who you are. And so you want to know what those are and do them.
Do that, don't do this. Do that, don't do this. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Like I was having this conversation today with one of my employees, and she was talking about how I was asking her about goal setting. She was like, I'm setting my goals for the next couple of years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why? I was like, name me one goal you've ever done in your entire life that you set and you finished exactly as you thought you were going to do it. And she goes, I guess probably getting my university degree. And I go, okay. I was like, and how did you feel after you got that? And she was like, honestly, kind of like anxious. Like, what am I going to do now? And I go, okay. I was like, how'd you feel when you were at school? And she was like, well, I didn't love it. She was like, I got done what I needed to get done and I worked hard. And I'm like, well, then why were you doing that in the first place? And she was like, I don't know, really. And we started going down this rabbit hole of like, toward the end of the conversation, she was like, I didn't really like school. My point, like, of even sharing this is like, there's so many things that we do every single day these are things that I see all the time.
In nature.
Right.
We do things against nature. I mean, that's what I'm saying is,
we don't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why people get disappointed when they achieve the goal, because I mean, I don't really want it.
Like, it wasn't all it's cracked up to be, and I didn't really love the whole process either. So, I'm not
going
to enjoy what you're doing.
What's your goal in eating cake?
Eat cake. I mean,
no, that's not a goal.
No, that is your goal. I mean, you want to get filled up with sweetness and do
something
you like to do.
No,
Yeah.
When I eat cake, I just eat cake. I don't make a goal to eat cake, right? So when you eat cake, what's the goal? There's no goal. There is no goal. Because, I want to fill my stomach with sweetness. I don't really care about filling my stomach with sweetness. I still want to eat the cake.
I see what you're saying.
You're
not complicated it. You're just saying, like, there's cake, I want to eat it. Like,
it's cake, I want to eat it, right? Because that's the thing is, I want to fill my stomach with sweetness. Well, what does it matter? Yeah. What does it matter if I need to fill my stomach? Because in my stomach, I don't feel anything. But when I eat cake and I swallow the sweetness, it gives me the savoring, the deliciousness, right? That's what I want, and that's what I do. Man, so my reward is what I do. So making goal to me isn't anything. Like, well, to me, you should have a dream to be able to do the things that makes you, like, quote unquote, aligned every single day. Because because you think about it, I don't know about the people here, right? But everybody has something they like to do. You got hobbies or whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Hey, I like to raise fish, or hey, I like to go hunting. Hey, I like to go fishing. Hey, I like to be a foodie, right? I love food, right? For me, I love food. That's probably why I'm diabetic in the first place. But nevertheless, I love food, and to me, it's like, I'm gonna be this foodie. No, I just went, hey, just give me a plate of food, and I'll eat it, right? You say, hey, I want to play tennis. I'll finish work early so I can go play tennis. I go play pickleball, right? What's the goal? Hey, what's the goal for you to play tennis?
Well, I would have said when I was younger, I would have been like, my goal is I want to get to college, and or I want to be a pro tennis player or whatever. Like now, I just say,
but now
I just love being outside and and challenging myself and getting better. Like, I mean, it's just fun. Like, I mean,
because once you get to do the things that lands with you, that's it.
That's the goal. That is the goal, right?
You don't want to go, hey, I'm gonna be the best tennis player, or I want to have like 2,000 games on my belt or something. I mean, that's the goal. It doesn't seem like anything that is desirable to you. You know what I mean? It is worthless. It is worthless.
It's beyond worthless. But what isn't worthless is what you do every day and what you're consuming every single day.
So that's exactly what I've been saying.
It's worth a lot.
Goal is against our nature, because the thing is, when you say how I'm gonna do this to achieve it, I wanna have the world record in eating cake or whatever. to me, I don't really care. If I sound eat cake, I'm happily eating cake. So same thing with this year of magical learning, right? I don't count them because I don't care if we are at 200, at 300, at 400, I don't really care, right? I don't care if people view it. I just love to go and talk, shoot the breeze. And to me, that's more fulfilling than having a goal. Because when you say, let's say for now we're 284, right? Let's say we go say, hey, our goal is to make it through 300. When you get to 300, you're gonna feel disappointed because it wasn't valuable to you. It wasn't important to you.
Forrest Gump running. You're like, I just started running one day, and then they were like, what are you running for? I don't know. I just started running. And I like it running. So I just kept on running. And they're like, are you an idiot? And you're like, he's like, no. I mean, that actually, Forrest Gump is a great example of somebody that just did, stuff that he liked to do. Great things happened, right? That's the story of Forrest Gump. He was just himself, and great things ended up happening to him, and he was always at the right place at the right time. I don't think that was luck. I think that was him just doing what he liked to do.
It's the universe gets surprised.
It did. I mean, I don't even think that that's far-fetched either. I think when you do what you want to
do,
I actually strongly believe
you are your best self when you are yourself, and when you are yourself, you are world class.
100%. I've been having this weird feeling the past 3-ish weeks, right? Like it almost feels like something's off with me, like this tiny little thing, and I'm processing through this for a couple of weeks, and I know exactly what it is now. Do you know what it is?
I don't know.
I've been forced to manage my team, not lead my team. I've been forced to manage my team. So I've had to put my operational hat on and herd a lot of cats over the past couple of weeks. I'm good at this. I can be great at this. I don't want to do it. And I don't want it. And honestly, my head is now thinking about it. Like I think about it when I'm like, it's fucking with my writing in the morning, because I'm like, oh, I should probably I got to get this done because I need to get this organized, and I got to check this box, do this, whatever. Like these tasks now are starting to pop in my head of stuff that I don't want to do, and I don't even like to do them. And it's making me a little fucking pissed, like just a little bit more pissed, and it's getting to the point in time where it's so easy to see myself drift now. Like when I start to see like there's something that doesn't feel right, like something doesn't feel balanced, right? Something feels like it is dragging me down. What is it? And then I started to think about it, and I was like, well, duh, I'm doing stuff that I don't like to do. And it makes me behave like a different human being. I told my team on Friday, I didn't rip into them, but I got aggressive tennis Chris on them, where I was like, look, we have to do this. Starting to bark orders, get this fucking shit done so we can get back to just leading and coaching and doing the stuff that we love to do. Because I have to do this, unfortunately, because we have to pay the patronage of the world that we're in. If this was Clubany, I would be like, I don't want to fucking do that. I don't care. Somebody else can. If we need organizational stuff, we'll wait till the person steps up that loves to eat cake. That's organization stuff, and then they can go do that. Because I'm good at it, but I don't want to do it, and I'm not great at it, and I'm not gonna be great at it because I don't care. I just want to get it done and off my fucking plate so I can get back to doing what I want to do, right? I saw it in my employees' eyes when I had a small group of them in particular. There was 4 of them. I saw it in their eyes going, who is this guy? This isn't Chris. And I even said this to them in the conversation. I was like, I know you guys are seeing a different side of me right now, and I don't like this side of me. I don't want to do this stuff. This is exactly what happens when you don't do stuff that you don't want to do. I can do it, and I'm good at it, and I know what to do, but I don't want to do it. There's a big difference. When you force yourself to do stuff that you don't want to do, it makes you fucking miserable, and it makes you angry, and it makes
self-inflicted misery.
It just makes you become a different human being. I see it in myself. I am a different human bean when I have to do stuff.
Even yourself in that situation,
I do. I really do.
You think about other people, regardless of what you do. People have the free will. They may coerce them to do certain things, but they're gonna find a way out, right? Eventually, they're gonna leave or do something that you don't want them to do. But that's the thing is, it's just a spiral downward for everybody, for you and for the people that influence that is close to you. If you talk to them, the energy just dives.
It does. And to be crystal clear, somebody does need to manage this, stuff a little bit better. It just isn't me.
Yes, but the thing is, that's what I'm saying. You don't have the manager gene. Right? Because the thing is,
no, I do have it. I do have it. I don't want it.
No, you don't.
No, I do. I can do it. I can do it.
Because the thing is, I can tell you right now. Do you think I can talk or not?
I think you can, but
I don't have the gene for it. Do I think you can do math? I think you can do it. You have the capacity. Right. You just hate it. Can I drive? Yes, I can drive. Can I try to stay awake and drive? I mean, I've drove to Florida for 12 hours. I did that. but I don't like it. I don't
Right.
like the gene. I don't have the eating frog gene. You don't
Right.
have the management gene. There's somebody who does, who loves it.
My
Because
boss
there
is
are
trained.
some, like I have seen some accountants that love what they do. They put on this visor hat and
Right.
they go to town.
I know. They love it.
The thing is, they fucking
Shit,
love
sorry.
it, and that's what they do. So that's why I'm saying you just need to align the work with
Agreed. People that
the
want
people
to
that
do
do
it.
it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because what I
But this is what happens. And this is exactly why, and this is my last thought because I got to go to bed. But this is what happens with corporate America. They hire you to do a job. That whole job is not tailor-made for one person.
don't think it's
just-
tailor-made
just-
for anyone.
It's a cookie cutter job. It's like, I need you to do these activities. Like, I don't care if you like them or you don't like them. Like, you just need to do these
They
activities.
just make
It's like,
up
it's like, it's like
a
when
job. I mean,
right.
we look at Snow as an example. He loves to teach, but he hates the teaching in that situation, in that environment,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because they tell him to do a certain curriculum in a certain way, in a certain standard, in certain requirements or whatever. And I think your wife probably feel the same way in some of the things that she has to follow some shitty rules about having to have your number of hours in a certain subject or whatever. It's like somebody just arbitrary those rules.
True. We are on, how many hours have we put into this project of the year of magical learning? Like learning, look, focus on the word learning. How many hours have we put into this project, you think?
I don't know.
You think
to me,
it's more, wait, you think more or less than what you put into a college degree, a 4-year college degree?
I would say I will. It seems like, it's a breeze.
I hated my collegiate courses, almost all of them. There was like a couple of them that I liked. This journey, it's called a year of magical learning. I love learning. I hated learning in that environment. Like, it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. Nobody allowed me to express my creativity. I didn't get to have any individuality. It was like, here, take this, interpret it, and write back exactly what I said to you. And that's you.
And your grades, hey,
right.
When you write, you have to have this and that, and especially when they say, hey, when you write, you need to write at least 250 words or 1,000 words, whatever. It's like, if I can express myself in one sentence, would I be better than using 250 words to describe the whatever?
Right.
So the thing is, you wrote one sentence, you get an F. You write 250 words, 1,000 words, you get an A. Or when you write your song, it has to rhyme, it has to have the stanza and whatever. Like all these, like, you made up the rule. So you're grading me based on some
on what you told
fictitious...
me what learning is. You're telling me what your learning means. This isn't how I like to learn. But you're saying that you didn't learn, or maybe you walk away from going, I just don't really love learning, I guess, or academia or whatever. And I'm like, that's total bullshit. It's no different than what we were just talking about with a job. You're like, I love to work, but I don't love when somebody tells me what my work is and defines it in a narrow little box. You like to work? Well, here's your work. You get this. Like, and you're like, well, I like maybe that in that box, but like, I don't like any of the other shit. Well, like, you got to do the other stuff. And they're like, why do I have to do the other stuff?
And the people that made up this box, right? They have no business making that box. Because that's like the managers or whatever, like, they have no idea how to code, for example. And they go and say, well, your code should have this and that and there, right? And your code should have like begin and end, blah, blah. But you have no expertise in this, but you wrote the job description, so you're gonna hire me to come and fill these job descriptions. You know what I'm saying? So the people who wrote it, like, for example, I mean, you're talking about like
somebody in HR or something that wrote a description.
The job description in technical, it's like completely useless because they ask for things like, hey, so wide, and they ask for the kitchen sink, right? And it's like they ask for 10 things. They probably like use once, and can't even get past that. And they ask for a bunch of other stuff. It's like, okay, but that's the thing, is they don't understand what the position require. They are somebody outside trying to box, and then you say, hey, I need to find somebody who fills this box completely.
Right. Why can't you have 5 people doing my job in different capacities, of different aspects of the job? Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't love to do what I love to do. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that love to do what I don't love to do. That does not mean that you need to split my salary in half or something. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I would rather not do that, and we'll probably be a better team. Anyway, that's my final thought, because I got to go to bed. But all right, can we wrap for the night? What do you think? Is that cool?
Can.
All right. So any final thoughts for yourself?
No, try not today. We say
Okay.
too much.
Fair enough. All right, man. All right. Well, have a good night, and thanks everybody for joining. The question we can leave for you is think about someone you admire most, and what can you learn from how they live their lives, and then how can you apply that to your own philosophy? Don't copy what they did. Learn.
Don't copy.
Don't copy. Learn and figure
Make
out
it
how to
your
apply it to
own,
your philosophy.
right?
Make it
Make it
yeah.
your own.
Right.
Learn from them and make it your own. That's what I would say. Make it your own. The thing is, you are only you, and no one can be you. Only you could be you. So you have to make it your own.
Right. Take it and make it your own. I love that. All right. Thanks a lot for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Sounds good. See ya.